How Staffordshire should sound. Six Towns Radio.
He's on the line right now, John Challis. Hello, John.
Hello, Terry. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. I'm really good. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this chat. We really wanted you on before, but I know you were up in Stafford quite recently doing the Shakespeare play As You Like It. Did you have a good time?
That's right, yes. It's an extraordinary time, that, really. Because in the middle of rehearsing for the Shakespeare, which we did in Ludlow and also Stafford, the two castles, open air, the weather was okay for us, I think. But in the middle of rehearsing for Shakespeare, I went off to Spain and did a couple of episodes of Benidorm as well. So talk about opposite ends of the scale. it was extraordinary though, but no, very lucky to be able to do it, and great fun, I must say.
You work non-stop, John. I see every day you're doing something. It's fantastic you get the opportunity to do these things, but you never stop.
Well, yes. I mean, I do stop sometimes, and because I have to fiddle about in my garden, because I've got this sort of garden I've got to get, and this year's been so full of growth and so on. So a couple of days ago, and I'm out there sort of planting stuff and cutting stuff back and picking up the stuff that's fallen down.
So that was Stafford. You did the Shakespeare thing, and I know you've been to Stoke itself a couple of times. You did a book sign here a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
this is going to be this is a brand new memorabilia, comic and memorabilia exhibition, isn't it, in Stoke? 28th of September. I've done a couple of these sort of things before, and they're great fun. I have to say, you hook up with a lot of people you haven't seen for a long time. I think Colin Baker's going to be there, famous old Doctor Who, Graham Cole, both of whom I know quite well, and James Cosmo I've met before, and Nicola Bryant I did a pantomime with years and years ago. So looking forward to meeting up with them again.
Yeah, well, you were one of the first people I asked, because I came up with the idea, because I know so many people in this area have to go to Manchester or Birmingham or London or up north. There's nothing like this in Stoke-on-Trent. Stoke-on-Trent's quite a nice place.
I think it's a great idea. That's right, because when I've been to these sort of things before, and also the Only Fools and Horses conventions and so on. And I met people who travel for miles to get there, because they want to meet the people there and so on. And I'd say, why can't you do one sort of nearer to me, nearer to this? So I think it's a very good idea to have one sort of in between places, like Stoke. That's really good.
Yeah, and you've proved to be a very popular guest. We've had a lot of comments. And
well, I couldn't possibly comment on that, Terry. I mean, that's not for me to say, is it? But no, I do my best. I mean, I enjoy it, as I say, and I never lose sight of the fact that all the people we meet are the people who turn their tellies on and put us where we are. So time to give a bit back, I suppose, as I say,
Yeah, and you'll be there signing copies of your book, Being Boycie, on the day.
Oh, my book's got I got two versions of the autobiography, Being Boycie and Boycie and Beyond, and a novel I wrote last year called Reggie, which is a continuation of all my adventures down here. So if anybody wants copies of those, I'll be happy to dedicate them.
Yeah. And when you do these book signs, I know you do quite a lot of those as well. What questions you get asked a lot? Because I know people are massive fans of your work, and especially Only Fools and Horses. Do people tend to talk about that the most?
Oh, yes, I think so. I mean, that's the big connecting thing. A lot of people talk about the spin-off series too, the Green Grass, which a lot of people are sort of caught up with later. It's extraordinary how many people say, I didn't see it the first time round, but I've seen it recently on Gold or something, and really enjoyed it. And the box set is now out of all 4 series that we did, so that's really nice. But no, people come. A lot of people come up and say, my son does a really good impression of you, So I have to sit there and listen to some poor little embarrassed kid trying to do Boycie's laugh or something, But it's all great fun, I must say. And now they want to talk about all sorts of things, but a lot of what is gratifying about it is that so many people say how much is meant to them, and in a lot of cases how much it's helped them through difficult times and so on, and that's really nice to hear that.
Yeah, and I suppose for you were already acting, you'd been in quite a few things in the 60s, early 70s, and then in the early 80s you got offered this role. How did it all come about, you getting offered the role in Only Fools and Horses? Well,
it was a complete accident, like a lot of these things, really. Sort of right place, right time, I suppose. I was in America actually, and I'd just done a couple of stage plays out there, and they'd gone very well. And for a moment it looked as though that's where the future lay. But I kept running out of money, which I'm still doing as a man on a regular basis. But my agent said, you've been offered a part in a new series called Citizen Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. They put Robert Lindsay
Power
on
to the people.
And that's right. And it was written by John Sullivan.
Yeah.
And it was his first successful series, and I played a policeman in one episode of that. And I just sort of used a few characteristics of somebody I used to know in a pub. And the main thing was that voice, that pedantic voice, really, which went very well with the policeman, making his points and all this. And John Sullivan came up and he said, I really like what you did with that policeman. He said, I'm going to try and use it again one day. And I thought, well, that's very nice, but I thought no more of it, But a year later, Only Fools and Horses started, and would I come along and play a second-hand car salesman and do some more the same? I had to change a bit, obviously, as a different character, a different situation, but that's how it started. So it was really all because of Citizen Smith that I got the part at Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, and initially Boycie was like a character that you saw now and again, and after a couple of series, you became one of the main characters. You were in virtually every show. In fact, you probably were in every one.
Yeah, towards the end, yes, that's right. It was terrific that it worked that way, but it was really how the series evolved. John, went from started off half-hour episodes, so they're quite short, really, and you had to get the plot out and so on. And so there wasn't that much time to put other characters' storylines in, but when it went to 50 minutes, of course, I had a lot more to play with. And, of course, don't forget, it was always on the BBC, so there were no commercial breaks. So you had to fill quite a lot of time, really. And so he started using the supporting characters a lot more, Trigger, Trigger, for instance, and Denzel, Paul Barber, and Mike Fisher, the barman, and they all began, Mickey Pearce was another one, wasn't it? And we started doing lots more episodes, and as you say, finished up doing a bit in every one of them. All the specials, all the latest specials, and it really worked very well in that way. I think that you had Del Boy and Rodney and Uncle Albert as the sort of fulcrum of it, if you like, and all us other characters sort of revolved round them like satellites, around the planet, and it was great. Sometimes you just have one little scene in an ag's head, but it was so well written, the whole thing, that you always remember that scene, and it was just a magical chemistry. But it really was the way it evolved, because the characters were so well written, they started getting very popular, and the BBC got lots of letters. As did John Sullivan, saying how much they enjoyed Boycie and Marlene and Trigger and so on. And so he started writing more for them. That's how it happened. Yeah,
and at times it hits 24, 25 million near enough viewers, and that's a third of the population of Britain.
That'd be good these days, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was, I think that was the episode where they won. They found the watch and they became millionaires. And in 1996, I think that was the biggest audience we ever had. But of course, at that time there were only 3 channels, only sort of 3 or 4 channels. That's when it really started lifting off, and we were getting over 10 million, 10, 12, 15 million. For a long time, there were only sort of 3 or 4 channels, and it's only sort of relatively recently that it's exploded, and there's so much choice now and so many channels. But in these days, I mean, if we got 25 million, it would sort of blow the roof off, I think. But I remember when we did Green Green Grass, we were getting 7.5 million, particularly at the beginning, and you thought, my God, that's really good for these days. We still finished up with sort of 5 to 6, which was really good.
Yeah, still amazing.
But it's amazing the difference. when you think something is considered quite a success these days, when it's got about 4.5 million, and you think back to those days, and as you say, we got 25 million for, and that was considered. I mean, it was a big moment, you know, but nobody was that surprised because it was so popular. You know?
No, and Sue, who was your on-screen wife, who played Marlene in both series, is one of your best friends as well. You work with her quite a lot still on different things.
Is that what she's been saying, that we are best friends? She lives in a complete fantasy world, the woman. No, that's right. I think she came into the series about 1985, which is about the fourth series. And of course, you know, there's a bit of trepidation, really, because you think, well, God, somebody's coming in to play Mrs. Boycie, you know, and you think, well, I hope we get on okay. And luckily we did. I mean, Sue came in with a terrific performance, sort of ready-made. She was really thrown in the deep end because she had one scene like I did when I started, and it was a scene with David Jason and Nicholas Lyndhurst and a Great Dane, Duke the Great Dane, and me. And she hadn't met anybody before, you know, and she had to instantly come in and play the character and do this quite complicated scene, really. And she did it absolutely brilliantly. And I just remember everybody sort of looking at each other thinking, oh, she'll be back, you know. And indeed she was. And, yeah, we've been chums ever since, really. We've done stage shows together. And, in fact, you know, we're hooking up this afternoon because we've got to go and do a signing over in the East Coast at Basildon. And so we're going to do that. And going to stay with her up in Windsor where she lives, and so that's been you know, part of my life, you know, ever since. Extraordinary, really.
Yeah, big part now. Yeah,
I think actually I may be wrong on this, but I think that Boycie and Marlene have got the record for the longest married couple on television. I mean, it was Terry and June, I think, you know, June Whitfield and Terry Scott, but I think I think halfway through the Green Grass, we actually beat that record, so we're very proud of that. Really.
Yeah, marriages don't use long that long. Yeah. You've mentioned that people come up to you and try to do the laugh and stuff like that, but the actual Boycie laugh, was that something that was called upon, or was that something you added to the show?
No, it was another complete accident, really, because it was something I remembered from actually a woman. That's where it really came from. It's a woman I used to know in the 70s who had this sort of machine gun-like laugh, and everybody laughed at her laughing, you know. And you could hear it from miles away. If you can imagine that laugh as, from a female, it was quite piercing, shall we say. Yeah. And I just did it one day. I mean, it said in the script, you know, Boycie laughs, and probably one of his own jokes as usual, you know. And so I just did it one day, and sure enough, everybody laughed, and they said, keep it in, you know. And then John Sullivan sort of said, Boycie does one of his laughs, you know, in the next script. So that's how it sort of stayed in, and I've been doing it ever since. People have been trying to copy it ever since. So it's extraordinary, really.
Yeah, iconic, of course. Stoke-on-Trent, it's happening in September. You mentioned you've met some of the people who are going to be there before, but you were actually in Doctor Who yourself, weren't you, back in the 80s?
Oh, yeah, back in the day, yes. That was with Tom Baker. Oh God! Again, back in the 70s, and it was really one of the happiest jobs I ever did. You know, we had such a great time, and it's such a great story. The Seeds of Doom, it was called, and I think that's in the last couple of years come out on DVD because there's been a big surge of interest in it, and I just remember it so well. You know. And when I go around doing my little one-man show, I sort of have a couple of stories about that. It's just, you know, and I was lucky because it was a six-parter, you know, so it's quite a long job, you know. But and a lovely Elizabeth Sladen was in it, you know, who's passed away since, which I can't believe, I have to say. But she was wonderful. Tony Beckley, who's no longer with us either. And you look back on those days and you think, well, it was just a great job, you know, just great fun, you know, because like today, everybody wanted to be in it, you know, And I was lucky enough to be offered this part, and it was great because it was a strange time in my life, really, because I got to a point where I thought, well, am I doing the right thing? I think perhaps I'd be doing something else, and then suddenly out of the blue, this offer came, and off I went, and I thought, oh well, I think this is what I want to do. I still want to do it, because I've been doing it, since I was at school, really.
Yeah.
And but you just sort of take a step back sometimes and you think, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? And but that sort of confirmed the fact that it was because it was such fun, such a great job.
Yeah.
Well, so it was a special job for me. That.
Well, you'll be hooking up with all these people in Stoke. It'll be a pleasure to have you over here. I know you've tried an oatcake before. I know I've seen a picture of you eating an oatcake. You might not remember this.
Yeah. Are they still around, these oatcakes?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
the food of gods.
Yeah, because I think there was a little famous shop, wasn't there, that used to present. There was had to be closed because the place was going to be demolished or something.
That's right. Yeah, hole in the wall.
Like that. I remember that because I remember going there and thinking, well, how sad it was because it had been there for years and years.
Yeah, it was called the Hole in the Wall Oatcake Shop. Yeah, it was knocked down
that's the one.
for renovation. Yeah. They changed the place and they were putting up new buildings and stuff, and they had to take it down. Real shame, but yeah, I know you've tried that, and I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today and doing me the favour of having the chat. But I know once I did you a favour, John. You won't remember this. In Crewe, you were at the Lyceum in Crewe, and I parked on the car park behind the Lyceum, and I saw you looking around for the ticket machine, and I gave you my ticket. You won't remember that, but that actually happened. I saved you about £1.50.
Of course I remember it. Of course I remember. How can I ever repay you?
We'll do this interview more.
Thank you very much for that. I remember it was horrendous trying to park in Crewe, as it is in most places, I suppose. But I think they were pretty draconian, weren't they? I think they were handing out a lot of tickets, I think, when I was there.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite difficult to find, particularly, if you wanted to be relatively near the theatre, because that's where you were working. And anyway, well, thank you very much for that. So I look forward to seeing you again.
Yes, in Stoke on the 28th of September. I had to think about that then. The 28th, it's only just over a month away.
Fancy dress and all sorts of things. So it sounds like a great day.
Yeah, and we've actually got an Only Fools and Horses yellow Reliant. It wasn't a Reliant Robin. It's a Reliant. I can't remember what it's called, but it wasn't a Robin. Everyone thinks it's a Reliant Robin, but it's not.
No, it wasn't. It was a Reliant Regal.
Yes.
It was a Regal, that's what it was. And I remember trying to drive one of them on the show, and it was the most uncomfortable damn thing I've ever driven in my life, I think.
Yeah, well, we've got a replica one of those, so you'll see that at the show as well.
Okay, I look forward to that.
Okay then, thank you very much, John Challis.
Thank you, Terry. See you soon.